Fame is no longer a distant fantasy. In today's world, it's intimate. It's in your pocket, in your feed, on your doorstep. Celebrities are expected to be accessible, tweeting in real time, posting their thoughts, live streaming their lives. But with that intimacy comes danger. For every fan who adores, there's someone who obsesses. And for the world's biggest stars, that obsession can turn terrifying. These aren't stories about over-enthusiastic fans. These are stories about stalkers, people who break into homes, send death threats, violate restraining orders, and sometimes take lives, all in the name of getting closer to someone they don't even know. This is the dark truth about celebrity stans and stalkers. Let's start with a case that shook Hollywood: Sandra Bullock. In 2014, the Oscar-winning actress was asleep in her Los Angeles home when a man named Joshua Corbett broke in. He bypassed her security system, entered her home silently, and carried a notebook filled with disturbing thoughts about his obsession with her. Bullock hid in a closet and whispered through a 911 call, terrified he'd find her. She survived, but the trauma lingered. Corbett was sentenced, but later died by taking his own life after another police standoff. Bullock has since said very little publicly, but those close to her say she's never fully recovered from the incident. Fame, for her, stopped being glamorous that night. Taylor Swift, one of the most globally recognized stars today, has faced stalkers more times than most. In 2018 alone, multiple men were arrested for breaking into her homes. One, Roger Alvarado, broke into her Manhattan townhouse, showered, and slept in her bed. Another, Julius Sandrock, was arrested outside her Beverly Hills property with a knife, rope, and gloves. One man even claimed to be her husband and repeatedly tried to enter her New York apartment. Taylor has spoken out about how this has changed her. She now carries military-grade bandages in case of an attack, has changed homes multiple times, and writes subtly in her lyrics about the loss of safety. What she once saw as adoration, she now treats with caution, because in her world, a compliment might come with a threat. Harry Styles is no stranger to obsessive fans either. In 2019, a man named Pablo Tarrazaga Orrero camped outside Styles' home, followed him around town, and refused to leave. Despite Harry's kindness, offering food and trying to help, the man escalated his behavior. Styles had to increase security and obtained a restraining order. In 2024, a Brazilian woman named Mayra Carvalho sent him over 8,000 cards in under a month, including wedding invitations. Some were hand-delivered. She was arrested, jailed, and banned from contacting him for 10 years. For Styles, what began as admiration had become an invasion. The situation is even more severe for Rihanna. In 2018, a man named Eduardo Leon broke into her home, stayed overnight, and was only caught when her assistant found him. Leon had disabled her alarm system and told police he was there to have sex with her. He was charged with felony stalking, burglary, and criminal threats. Rihanna wasn't home, but she very well could have been. This was no misunderstanding. This was calculated, premeditated, and chilling. Selena Gomez has dealt with similar trauma. In 2014, Che Cruz was arrested after breaking into her guest house, and did it again days later. Another man, Daniel Green, sent her dozens of threats to take his own life if she didn't respond to him. These weren't isolated incidents. Over the years, Gomez has had to live in fear, move homes, and speak openly about the PTSD that's followed. For a woman who grew up on television, the transition into adulthood has come with the horrifying realization that some people believe they own you just because they've watched you. The Kardashian family, perhaps the most publicly visible women in the world, have faced their own terrifying encounters. Kendall Jenner had to sell her home after a man named John Ford broke in twice, once even scaling the mountainside behind her house to enter the backyard. She was home at the time. The trauma was so intense that she said she no longer felt safe being alone. Kim Kardashian received packages from a stalker containing Plan B and diamond rings, alongside letters claiming they were married. Her fame, built on visibility, became a target, and so the very thing that built their empire also shattered their sense of safety. Ariana Grande has also faced violent threats. In 2021, a man named Aharon Brown showed up at her home with a knife, threatening to kill her and her security team. Though he was arrested and ordered to stay away, he violated the restraining order and returned. Grande later said she was living in fear. It's a pattern we see often. The stalker is arrested, restrained, and then released, only to return. Billie Eilish, who became a global superstar in her teens, has faced repeated stalking. In 2023, a man named Christopher Anderson camped outside her family home, posting hundreds of disturbing messages online. Her family filed for a 5-year restraining order, and she later revealed that she had stopped feeling safe even in her own bedroom. Being a teen idol has always come with scrutiny, but for Eilish, it came with threats to her life. Cristiano Ronaldo, while not stalked physically, has been the target of obsessive digital harassment. In 2025, a Kenyan woman named Wambui sent him hundreds of messages declaring her love and begging him to leave his family. She followed him across platforms, claiming they were destined to be together. Eventually, Ronaldo issued a public plea. "I am married and have children. please leave me alone. It's a reminder that in the digital age, stalking isn't limited by location. It's fueled by direct access. Ed Sheeran experienced a different kind of invasion. In 2023, hacker Adrian Kwiatkowski stole dozens of unreleased tracks and sold them online. Though it wasn't a personal stalker, the violation was just as intense. It wasn't about physical space, but creative space, an artist's most private world exposed for profit. And then there's Justin Bieber, whose stalker story took a horrifying turn in 2012. Dana Martin, already in prison for other crimes, plotted to have Bieber kidnapped, castrated, and murdered. He recruited two other men, offering thousands of dollars for Bieber's body parts. The plot was foiled at the last minute. The FBI intervened, but the trauma lingered. Bieber never publicly spoke about it in depth, but the fear that someone would go to those lengths to hurt you is not easily shaken. And of course, there's the most infamous case of all, John Lennon. In 1980, Mark David Chapman, a deranged fan, waited outside Lennon's New York apartment. Hours earlier, Lennon had signed an autograph for him. Later that night, Chapman shot him 5 times in the back. Lennon died minutes later. The man who claimed to love Lennon became his killer. It remains the most disturbing example of parasocial obsession turned fatal. And then there's Beyoncé, one of the most controlled and curated celebrities in the world, yet not immune to stalkers. In 2020, Darnell Jackson was arrested after sending over 60 threatening letters to Beyoncé and Jay-Z's company. He insisted they were part of a global conspiracy and claimed he was the real father of Blue Ivy. His letters became increasingly delusional and threatening, prompting intervention from federal authorities. While Beyoncé rarely addresses such incidents, her increased use of bodyguards and changes in tour logistics speak volumes. Lady Gaga also found herself the target of dangerous obsession. In 2011, a man named Jack Johnson traveled cross-country with the intent to kill her, believing she was communicating with him through secret messages in her music videos. He was arrested with duct tape, a box cutter, and a detailed notebook outlining his plan. Gaga's camp never made the story public at the time, hoping to avoid copycats, but the incident underscored the fine line between artistic admiration and personal delusion. Another chilling case involved Paula Abdul. In 2008, a woman named Paula Goodspeed, an obsessed American Idol fan who had previously auditioned on the show, was found having apparently taken her own life outside Abdul's home. She had stalked the singer for years, sending her disturbing fan mail and making obsessive calls. Despite multiple complaints to authorities, nothing was done. The tragedy forced a conversation about how seriously celebrity threats are taken, especially when the stalker seems harmless. Keira Knightley, known for her privacy, suffered an ordeal with a stalker named Mark Reville. In 2016, he bombarded her with meowing noises, bizarre poetry, and harassed her nanny and family. He also left USB sticks containing pornography and menacing messages at her door. Though seemingly absurd, the harassment disrupted her daily life and left her fearing for her family's safety. Reville was convicted, but the psychological toll lingered. And then there's David Letterman, a household name in late-night TV, yet no stranger to stalker horror. For nearly a decade, a woman named Margaret Ray broke into his home multiple times, claiming she was his wife and that their child was his. She once stole his Porsche, left love notes in his kitchen, and slept in his guest house. Despite repeated arrests and psychiatric care, she returned again and again. In a tragic end, Ray later died having taken their own life, leaving behind a legacy that helped push for better mental health treatment in stalking cases. A similarly long-term case plagued Alec Baldwin. Over several years, a Canadian actress named Genevieve Sabarin harassed Baldwin through emails, calls, and public confrontations. She insisted they were in a romantic relationship and even appeared at events he attended. Baldwin was forced to testify in court, revealing the emotional exhaustion of being targeted by someone who believed they were destined to be together. Sabarin was sentenced to jail time and issued a restraining order, but the case made headlines for weeks. In 2020, Camila Cabello and Shawn Mendes became targets of joint stalker harassment. A man repeatedly trespassed at their shared Los Angeles property, shouting declarations of love and peering into their windows. At one point, he scaled their fence with a knife. They fled the home and increased their security team. While the couple tried to keep it private, the fear was evident in interviews afterward. What began as a dream home became a place they could no longer feel safe. Bindi Irwin, daughter of the late Steve Irwin, has also had her share of horrifying experiences. In 2014, a man from California began writing love letters, eventually flying to Australia and attempting to track her down at her family's wildlife reserve. Authorities intervened just in time, but Bindi, who was only 15 at the time, was left traumatized. Her mother, Terry Irwin, later said the family had increased surveillance and personal protection due to ongoing threats. Emma Watson, beloved globally for her role as Hermione Granger, has taken drastic steps to prevent stalker incidents, including never signing fan photos in real time and keeping her travel plans private. In 2014, she was allegedly targeted by an ex-prisoner who planned to confront her on a film set, prompting Warner Brothers to significantly increase security. Though details were kept under wraps, Watson has long been vocal about the unsettling nature of being sexualized and followed from such a young age. Even the seemingly untouchable Oprah Winfrey wasn't safe. In the early 2000s, a man named Gregory Monroe sent her over 100 letters claiming to be her husband. He eventually appeared at her studio multiple times and had to be forcibly removed. Oprah, known for her strength and composure, reportedly installed a new layer of security around her home after the encounters. Jennifer Lawrence had a similar experience when a man began tracking her movements across Europe during her Hunger Games tour. He booked the same hotels, waited outside events, and sent her coded emails. Though she never confirmed the case publicly, insiders say she began traveling with additional security and shifted to private air travel to avoid further contact. Even musicians in niche genres haven't escaped. In 2013, Hayley Williams from Paramore had a stalker who attended multiple shows with increasingly disturbing signs and messages. He was finally arrested after attempting to sneak backstage with a fake staff pass and handwritten lyrics meant to prove their connection. Williams has since talked about how female musicians often feel unsafe even in spaces that are supposed to be their own. Another lesser-known but horrifying case involved Olympic gymnast Shawn Johnson. In 2009, a man was arrested attempting to break into the set of Dancing with the Stars with 2 loaded guns and duct tape. He told police he was going to marry Johnson and take her away. She was only 17 at the time. The incident shocked the public and opened up national conversations about the stalking of athletes and public figures outside Hollywood. Even fictional fame isn't safe. Anna Sophia Robb, who portrayed Carrie Bradshaw in The Carrie Diaries, was stalked by a man who believed she was the real-life version of the character. He sent her hundreds of handwritten letters detailing their supposed life together in New York, and even waited for her outside events. While less well-known, her case is a chilling example of how young stars are especially vulnerable to obsessive fantasies. What connects all these stories is a singular idea: the fantasy of closeness. Stalkers don't just admire, they convince themselves that the relationship is real, that it's mutual, that they are owed access, love, and attention. And when reality breaks that illusion, they lash out, sometimes with messages, sometimes with trespassing, and sometimes with violence. And the terrifying truth is that female celebrities face this at even higher rates. Their visibility is sexualized, their personas are read as availability, and when they say no, they are punished with threats, hate, or harm. For women like Selena, Rihanna, Taylor, Kim, Ariana, and Billie, the world demands their openness, then uses it against them. Fame, for all its perks, has a dark edge. Celebrities live with more money, more attention, and more admiration, but also with more fear. They build walls around their homes, guard their locations, and scan every face in a crowd, because they know that one fan could be the one who believes too much, who thinks the voice in a song is speaking just to them, who believes love means possession, and who, in the worst cases, refuses to let go. This is the price of fame in the modern world. Not just cameras, but fear. Not just fans, but threats. And in a culture obsessed with connection, it's worth asking, what happens when someone believes they know you, and you don't even know they exist?